Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream and your daily Chelsea news update. As you can see, guys, we're in the midst of the international break. Yeah, boring time. Season's just started, 3 or 4 games in, and then suddenly, bang, no matches for 2 weeks. Not an ideal situation, particularly after a busy transfer window as well. But there are some bits and pieces to talk about, to go over. Ben Chilwell could be going on loan to Turkey. Chelsea are open to moving him there. Unfortunately, no offers have yet come in for Chilwell, but it represents the last decent option for him. Otherwise, he faces the prospect of playing no football for 4 months until January, when the situation can be reassessed. We've also got the latest on Reece James, a Matt Law article stating that he is unlikely to be fit enough to start against Bournemouth and is still a couple of weeks away from even returning to full training. So that was a little bit unexpected. Definitely not the news we were hoping to hear on that front, considering that when that happened to Reece the couple of days before the Inter Milan game, it was reported as a minor issue. He was going to be out for the first 3 games of the season anyway, so that was kind of irrelevant. But the whole thing was that he was going to be back for this game against Bournemouth, and apparently he's not going to be fit to start. So that's definitely an interesting one there. Chelsea have been cleared by the Premier League for selling the hotels to themselves, essentially. So they've been cleared by the Premier League. That's gone through. That is all fine. So people can now cry about that all they want, but it's been done. It's been confirmed by the Premier League that it's absolutely fine. As I always said, it was within the rules, so it was just a matter of time. We were just waiting. More injury news. Obviously, Malo Gusto has got a thigh problem. He's pulled out of the France squad as well. Hopefully that's not too serious. There's been no official update on that. Cole Palmer has also pulled out of the England squad. Apparently he's been suffering with a recurring issue for a little bit of time now, so he's coming back to Chelsea to work on that. So he won't be part of the England squad either. So a bit of injury news. Obviously, Ben Chilwell possibly going to Turkey. Reece James. Chelsea still appreciate Victor Osimhen. Might potentially go back in for him in January. The release clause has now lowered to 75 million euros, so a lot cheaper than the previous one. 75 million euros, around the 70 million pound mark. Perhaps a lot more reasonable a price, and maybe Chelsea will go back in. But again, it wasn't the price, it was the wages. So let's see what changes during his time at Galatasaray, and whether we feel like it's worth going back in for him in January, or whether we've drawn the line under it and we're going to go in for alternative targets. Guys, keep smashing that like button, by the way. Big up to everyone that is locked in the building already. With 43 in the building, guys, there's 8 likes on the stream. What's going on here? I know it's the international break, people, but it doesn't mean we can be slacking on these likes. That's poor conversion rate at this point. So people, make sure you're smashing that like button, and of course, as always, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. But we need to run these likes up. Come on, guys. Let's say hello to a few people, and then we'll get involved. And then we get the show on the road. Seriously, just get rid of Reece, absolute liability. I wouldn't go that far, but it is becoming a big issue. Agreed. Gusto injury, then we'll have no right back for the Bournemouth game. Potentially, although we're still a couple of weeks away from that being the reality. But yeah, potentially you might be looking at the Sassy, Caicedo maybe, or maybe you might give the youngster Akinpong a chance. What do you think of Cole Palmer withdrawing from a pointless? I think it's fine. Just I think, to be honest, more precautionary than anything. We can't afford Chile to go on loan with injuries. Bro, Chile, unfortunately, I'm greatly appreciative for what he's done for this football club. There's no way back for him. That's it now. He doesn't fit what we're looking to do. He's not the player he used to be. And we're going to have to move on. Agreed with what he's saying. Jackson needs to improve his finishing. Yeah, no, he absolutely does. He does. Chilwell, yeah, maybe. Yes, big up. International break so early in the season is nonsense. Yeah, I hate it. And there's also another one next month, I think, as well. Can you believe it? Selling, I'm tired. Fair. Big up. International break after a major tournament is ridiculous. Yeah, it really is. Do I think Palmer will be fit for the Bournemouth game? Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's any indications to suggest that he won't be. I think there's every chance that Palmer will be fit for that Bournemouth game. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think, if these have been really important England games, then he would have played. But the fact it's Nations League, it's Finland, it's Ireland, they're not important games. They're pretty pointless games. He's well established within that England squad now. So I think they probably looked at it as one where, yeah, let's pull out. Let's focus on rehabbing at Chelsea and make sure that I'm fit for the upcoming games. Yeah, true. But again, I don't think Maresca fully fancies him right now in the side. And maybe his versatility is actually potentially causing him a few issues. Maybe that's why he's, missing out on the starting lineup potentially. I'm not too sure. But yeah, anyway, let's dive into the main stuff then, guys. Obviously, this Matt Law report from last night. And look, whatever people think about Ben Chilwell, I just think it's a really sort of sad situation that seemingly no one wants him. No one wants him at all. It's not like, this is just a last minute thing. Oh, fuck, can we get anyone to get Chilwell? We've left it to the last few days of the window. Chilwell's been available pretty much all summer. It was clear from pre-season that he wasn't really a major part of the plans. He played, I think, around 64, 65 minutes across the whole of pre-season. He's not been named in a single match day squad this season at all. He's training away from the first team. And people will talk about the wages might be a stumbling block. He'll soon reduce those wages if he has to, if it's that or not play any football for 4 months. Chelsea, of course, on any loan deal would likely foot a portion of those wages. I don't think clubs in Turkey have got that much money to be spending on wages either. And look, I know the Belgian window is still open and the Greek window, I think, is still open as well. But let's be honest, Chile's not going on loan to Portugal or to Greece. It's going to be very much Turkey or nothing. But seemingly no clubs want him. Matt Law stating that Chelsea are open to sending Ben Chilwell on loan to Turkey with a left back facing at least 4 months in the football wilderness if he stays at Stamford Bridge. I just can't believe no one wants him. I'm not saying Chilwell's the player he used to be, but you're telling me there's not a single club who wants Ben Chilwell. I just find that crazy. I just find that really, really surprising that there's not one club out there who see value in potentially taking Chilwell on a season-long loan deal. There must be teams that are looking. I mean, I'm surprised that maybe Turkish options. Obviously, Mourinho's Fenerbahce is a team that gets linked. Chile was reportedly offered to Man United earlier this summer. They turned down the chance to sign him. They weren't interested in bringing him to the club. So, yeah, it's a concern for sure. It is absolutely a concern. There's no doubt about that. The fact that there's been no offers whatsoever, and Chelsea faces prospects of paying someone 200 grand a week to play no football and just train with the under 21s. It's not a good situation to be in. And ultimately, there are no winners from this situation. Chelsea don't win, and Chilwell certainly doesn't win. And his value, whatever his value was in the first place, I don't really know what his value is. But if he has 4 months on the sidelines playing no football, his value is going to go through the floor. If you were saying that maybe Chilwell might have been worth, 25 million pounds, 30 million pounds, an absolute push, you might get 15 million for him, if he spends 4 months on the sidelines. That's why it was so important for us to try and find a move for him. And I'm sure that Chelsea did genuinely try to find a move for him, but obviously there just weren't really any suitors for him, which I just find mad. I just find really mad. And it is a bit sad, really, even just on a human level, for how he must be feeling, given, what he's achieved in the game and, how well he's done for Chelsea in the past. He's just training away from the first team and no one seemingly wants him. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Chilwell's done at Chelsea. Yeah, no, Chilwell's done at Chelsea, not just because of injuries, but he just doesn't fit what we're looking to do. Our treatment of Chile's I don't think the treatment of Chilwell's embarrassing at all. Managers come in, they fancy certain players, they don't fancy other players. If you're told you're surplus to requirements, you're surplus to requirements. It's not like he's been frozen out against his own will. The managers come in and the manager will fancy certain players and he won't fancy other ones. Chelsea have made it very, very clear. This is not like a Gallagher or a Chalobah situation. They've made it very clear with Chilwell. He knows himself that, and I remember saying at the time when Maresca was appointed that Chilwell would be one of the biggest losers from this because he simply doesn't suit the style of play. And I certainly wouldn't describe the Chilwell treatment as embarrassing. Should have sold James under the Abramovich era. No, I don't agree with that. Worried about both our captains not looking good. Man United are not going to be signing Chilwell. How do we fit all these attackers in? I don't know is the honest answer to that. I don't know. And that's probably something I have to deal with when we get nearer the time. But right now, I can't think about that. My gut feeling is I think that there's 2 weeks left of the Turkish window. The fact that no one's come forward now, maybe that would, I don't know, maybe that would suggest that maybe clubs are biding their time and they're kind of thinking about whether it might be a good move to go through or not. But it is a problem. It is an absolute issue. It is an absolute issue because how do we get rid of this guy? All this does is just put his value through the floor, so that when we do come to a sale, we can barely command any sort of fee, whatsoever. So that is something that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about, what it's going to do for Chile on a personal level as well, from a human perspective. It can't be a great feeling mentally to be turning up to training every day. You're not going to play any matches. You're not injured, and all you're doing is just knocking about with the under-21s, and then you go home. You're literally nothing to do with the first team whatsoever. And yes, it's professional sport, and it's tough at the top, and it's brutal and whatnot. I understand all those things, but that's still a big thing, that, isn't it? Still a big thing. It's a lot to take on board, and I just hope for Chelsea's sake and for Chilwell's sake that a club from Turkey comes in with a loan deal and he accepts it, and he just goes and plays football. Whatever you think of the Victor Osimhen situation, and it was a fucking shambles and whatnot, and he was advised terribly, and I'm not quite sure about him as an individual anyway, but at least he's now gone somewhere to play football rather than not playing for 4 months. And I think Chilwell, if he gets that opportunity, he cannot be turning it down, because playing football within reason anywhere is a much better choice than sitting on the sidelines and not featuring at all. That's the reality of the situation from my point of view. And I think you'd struggle to find anyone that doesn't think the same way on it. Yeah, there is that. I think Chilwell signed a new deal last year, a new 4-year contract. So I think he's under contract until 2027. So yeah, it's obviously not ideal. And I don't think Chelsea certainly won't be handing out those sorts of contracts again. That much is absolutely clear. Chelsea won't be handing out those kind of contracts like they handed out to Chilwell, like they handed out obviously to Raheem Sterling. Those contracts won't be given out again. Teams that play a wing-back system should definitely want to sign Chilwell. Yeah, I just don't know which teams in Turkey do that. When Poch played him left wing, I knew he was done because we ain't going back to wing-backs. Yeah, the James situation isn't good. The injuries are a huge problem. I don't know. We're going to get onto that shortly. Injuries, clubs probably don't want to take the risk to buy. As for loaning, people haven't really seen him in seasons. Yeah, look, unfortunately for Chilwell, the last time he played consistently was back in 2022. So you are any team, even on a loan deal, would be taking a huge gamble, because you just don't know what you're going to get from him. But the fact that no one seemingly wants him, I just find that really strange. I'm not saying like he's an unbelievable player, but there is quality in there and qualities that he has that could definitely help a team out. They could definitely help a team out somewhere. I mean, surely. Surely a team somewhere could do with Ben Chilwell. It's a strange one, isn't it? It's a strange one for me. I'm not fully I'm not fully understanding it at all. Yes, big up, big up. Yeah, of course, brother. Of course, of course. Injury prone and high wages. I get why there's not much interest. Yeah, but of course, any loan deal, Chelsea would have to foot a percentage of the wages. I think we should buy a new right back if Gusto and Reece injured. So, bro, I don't understand that. Yeah, let's wait and see with Chilwell. But I honestly, I just hope that something gets sorted out. I hope that something gets sorted out because otherwise, it's just a shit situation for everyone involved. And it's a shame to see what's happened to him because under Tuchel and stuff, he was so good for us. He was arguably one of, if not the best left wing backs in world football. He was an established England international, and now he can't get a look in for Chelsea, and he's nowhere near the England picture either, even though they've basically got no fucking left backs anyway. So, yeah, it is a shame. And I do, on a human level, I do feel sorry for him. Ultimately, the right decision was taken in terms of it's not right for him to be part of the squad because he doesn't fit what we're looking to do, and he doesn't have the characteristics that Maresca's looking for in a left back. So that's kind of where we are with that one. Bro, honestly, he was one of the best. He was one of the best. It was great fun to watch him. A top player, a top performer. And for me, yes, there's been a lot of hamstring issues. The one that got him, the one that really did him in, I think, was the ACL. I think that was the one that really did him in. We were playing that brilliant game where I think we beat Juventus 4-0 at Stamford Bridge, and he'd done his ACL like not that long before the end of the game. And really, ever since then, even though he's got himself back fit again, he's just never been the same player. Never been the same player. Hamstring issues, obviously, he spent a lot of time on the sidelines with those. And yeah, unfortunately, he's just not been the same player that we're used to. And it's the end of the road. I don't think anyone disagrees with the decision that he needs to be moved on. But obviously, I certainly wasn't expecting it to be as difficult as it's proving to move him on. But let's hope a team in Turkey does us a favour and we can obviously we can get that sorted out and he can go on loan to Turkey and just play some football. Guys, there's 100 in the building. There's only 29 likes. What are we playing at here? What are we playing at here? Run those likes up, people. Run them up, run them up. We need to get this to 100 likes. There's nowhere near enough likes on the stream. Come on, people. It's free. It takes seconds to do, and it really, really helps out. Come on, guys. 103 in the building, 30 likes. That's a really piss-poor conversion rate. Piss-poor conversion rate. So let's run it up, people. Please do me a massive favor. Massive favor. Would greatly appreciate it. And guys, we're closing in on 11.7 as well. There must be a few people in here who aren't subscribed. We are 10 subscribers away from 11.7. Let's try and get to that target today. 10 more subscribers. Let's try and get there. Please do subscribe to the channel. Please help me on the way to 12k. Let's get to that 11.7 subscribers, guys. Let's do it now. 10 more subscribers required. Please hit the subscribe button and please keep smashing that like button. There's over 100 in the building. We're not even on 50 likes. Come on, people. Right, let's go. Let's move on to Reece James then. And this is not news that I wanted to have. Not news that I was wanting to read. Reece James is unlikely to be fit enough to start against Chelsea's next opponent, Bournemouth. He's still thought to be a couple of weeks away from returning to full training. Well, brother, no, he wasn't. He wasn't. That's been debunked. That it wasn't Gyökeres's agent. It was someone else's agent. It wasn't Gyökeres's agent. Guys, it seems like this Harsi our best academy player since JT is being ruined by injury. Look, injuries are a huge issue, no doubt about it. Anyway, what I was saying was on this, guys, the Bournemouth game's in 10 days? If he's thought to be a couple of weeks away from returning to full training, then there's obviously, if he's not even in full training and a couple of weeks away, then there's no chance that he's going to be starting against Bournemouth or featuring. If he's not even the best we can hope for is a slot on the bench. But if he's not even in full training for a couple of weeks, then there's no way that he's going to be involved whatsoever. So, and this is a concern for me. This is a big concern. I remember saying at the time, guys, on the show, I remember saying at the time, let's hold fire on this. You know, he's out for the first 3 games of the season anyway. He wouldn't have played in those Conference League playoff matches even if he was fit. I wouldn't have thought. And and what I said was, if he's not available for the Bournemouth game, then I'll be more concerned, and then I'll have a bit more of a serious conversation about it. At the time, it was described as a very minor issue, but now we're getting these reports that he's unlikely to feature against Bournemouth. Well, how minor is this issue? Because this was reported a couple of days before that Inter Milan pre-season friendly, and it was described as minor, as I said, and you know. He's still thought to be a couple of weeks away from full training. I mean, what is going on here? What is going on here? Either Chelsea are being extremely cautious with Reece, which I could understand, or we've been lied to about the severity of the hamstring problem. You know, we've either been lied to, or Chelsea are being overly cautious. Those are the 2 options here. But unfortunately, with Reece's injury history, I would have to side towards the fact that we've potentially been lied to, and they've sort of not been honest about the way that this has been reported, saying, "Oh, you know, it's a minor issue. He's out for the first 3 games anyway. You know, target a return against Bournemouth, which is always going to be the case because that was the first time he was going to be available in the Premier League this season." But how can Reece, if this is true, how can he still be a couple of weeks away from full training? You know, he played a lot in pre-season. He did the tour. He came back. Minor issue picked up in training, which must have been what? Excuse me. Which must have been what? About 4 weeks ago now? Whatever the... Oh, no. I'm allergic to talking about this. Which must have been what, 4 weeks ago, that Inter Milan game now, just over maybe 3 and a bit weeks ago. And he's still he's still a couple of weeks away from returning to first team training. So he would have been away from first team training, from full training, for 5 weeks. If I'm getting this right, 5 weeks he would have been away from training if it's another 2 weeks. And yet this was supposedly a minor issue, but you can't return to full training for 5 weeks. Now, this is not adding up. This really isn't adding up. I'm sorry. There's something amiss here. There really is something amiss here that is not making any sense to me whatsoever. It's not making any sense to me. Any sense whatsoever. Something is hugely amiss. Something's hugely amiss with the way that this is being reported, because this problem is obviously a lot bigger than has been made out, and I just can't understand why this keeps happening. I cannot understand why this keeps happening. Obviously, you know, after having surgery, maybe you expect there to be a few little setbacks here and there, but it's just so frustrating. It's really frustrating. But I don't want to be too tough, because again, he could well feature against Bournemouth, but there's no denying this is very concerning. This is a very concerning update on Reece James. 100%, this is a concerning update, and not what we were looking for. And I don't know if we're at the point where, you know, I don't want to give up on this guy. I'm not at the point of giving up on him at all. I'm really not. But this is really concerning. This is really concerning, because he's so important to this team. You know, I know we've got Gusto and whatnot, who is very good, but Reece James at his best, fully firing, there's no one like him. There really isn't. But this is a problem. You know, James absolutely won't start against Bournemouth if he's available. It will be a bench slot at best. But this is a huge issue, guys. A huge issue. But a fit Reece James brings so much to this team. If I could, I would swap. I would give Reece my hamstrings if it was possible. You know, if it was possible to do a hamstring transplant, I'd happily sign up for my hamstrings to be handed over to him. The quality he's got is undeniable, but at the same time, as I've said with many other players, it doesn't matter how good you are if you are not able to get yourself on the pitch and implement, and offer stuff to the team and help the team. It is completely irrelevant how good you are. Completely irrelevant how good you are, and this is a concern for sure. Guys, give me 2 seconds. Just going to blow my nose. But yeah, people, I've always said that if Reece has another season where he's injured for the majority of it, then serious conversations have to be had. We're not at the point of serious conversations as far as I'm concerned right now, but we are starting to get sort of dangerously close to that sort of territory of needing these serious conversations, because the guy just simply is never available for us. Simply never available for us. And I just don't know what else to say. I know, is he just unlucky? Is it just his body? Is it something he's doing? He looks a lot slimmer, when he was recovering from injury. I just really don't know. I just really don't know what's going. I just really don't know what's going on with him. And maybe we can just hope that it's Chelsea being overly cautious. Bro, this is not about needing new team doctors. We've changed the medical staff so many different times. This is not to do with the medical staff. This is obviously to do with Reece and his body. And it's obviously not ideal whatsoever. Loftus-Cheek 2.0. I mean, Loftus-Cheek wasn't really injury prone. He suffered that one injury to his Achilles, which basically ruined his Chelsea career, as it turns out. But what are they doing with him? I read his post where he said he's ready again. I don't know. I don't know what it. I don't really know what it was. But he came through all the preseason games. He started every game on the tour of the States, and he gets back to Cobham, and then suffers a small problem, supposedly a small problem, but clearly much bigger than is being made out, if this is to be true. I think our team doctors make the wrong diagnosis, and also our recovery team, because we get too many injuries. I mean, something's not right. I think it's down to his build. He has too much muscle. No, but he's lost a lot of muscle. He slims down a lot. Reece just needs to get right. Luckily, we're not missing him that much. No, I agree. Huge for Reece once he returns to Bournemouth. If he gets injured again, potentially, yeah. Going to get to Lavia. I'm certain James is frustrated too, like Luke Shaw, any other player with injury problems. The player needs support. Yeah, exactly. He's not a shit player. He's not a shit player whatsoever. One of the best going. One of the best there is. And arguably at his best, there is no better right back in world football. No better right back in world football than Reece James when he's fully fit. I don't think Reece does need to lose weight. I don't think he does at all. I don't look at Reece James and think he's overweight. That for me is not there. But I don't think he was overweight. I really don't. Pre-season was his first proper amount of minutes in a long time. I honestly don't think he was overweight, people. Now, people might think differently, but I personally don't feel that he was overweight, in my opinion. But I get it. People think that he's overweight. I understand that. But yeah, for me, he's not. I think he's fine, because if Reece was really injured, he'd be out this entire year. Yeah, Reece doesn't really seem to do short-term injuries, does he? He's either fit or he's out for months on end. That's kind of how it appears to work. But as I said, it's all very well saying he's the best right back in the world when he's fit and whatnot. Problem is, he's not fit enough of the time. But let's hope that this is nothing serious and that he will be able to play some part in the game against Bournemouth, or hopefully, he can return for the West Ham game the week after that. Maybe that's going to be a more accurate. Maybe that's going to be a better time frame for him and a better chance of seeing him at that point. Martial could have scored 30 goals if he was fit for a full season. Well, I mean, maybe. Seeing him in person is bigger than last season. I mean, I can't remember what he looks like last season, to be perfectly honest. I can bet also remember, guys, Reece is the only player who listens to his recovery team. What do other players do then? Personally, I feel for him, but Chelsea's bigger than an individual. I would say that this should be his last season, and if he can't commit to at least 30 matches per season, then he should move on. Look, again, we got to make sure we're not jumping to ridiculous conclusions here, but I do agree. I do agree, guys, that we need to wait and see what this season's got in store for him. But yeah, as I said, serious conversations will need to be had. If he can't put up at least 25 or 30 games this season, then there's a conversation to be had. There's also that point as well. It's better to do that prevention rather than bringing him back and suffering a more serious long-term consequence. I absolutely agree with you on that one. And maybe that could be what Chelsea are doing here. But, you don't want to be in a situation where you've got to manage a player so carefully. You really don't want to be in that situation. And then, moving from one right back to another, we saw Malo Gusto go down against Crystal Palace with a supposed thigh problem. And we don't know how long he's going to be out for either. So not only have we got one right back who's providing competition on the pitch, it now seems that there could be, Gusto could be providing competition for Reece off the pitch as well with these injuries. Now, we didn't find out the extent of this injury against Crystal Palace. There was nothing reported on how long that Gusto could potentially be out of action for. But yeah, it's a concern. It is absolutely a concern for sure, because we don't know yet. He's pulled out from the France under-21 squad. Chelsea defender Malo Gusto has pulled out of international duty with France due to injury. The French Football Federation announced that the Blues right back was among 3 withdrawals from the under-21 squad due to contest games against Slovenia and Bosnia. Okay, great. Gusto started for Chelsea in their 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace, playing 74 minutes before getting injured and being replaced. Maresca said afterwards, a 21-year-old who was left out of the squad that travelled to Servette last week had sustained a muscle issue and would need to be assessed. So clearly he's not been assessed yet. He said, with Malo, we will see what happens. It looks like a muscle problem, so we'll see, he said. France have confirmed Gusto's issue is a thigh problem, and the severity of it remains to be seen at this stage. That's not ideal. That's not ideal. I don't think that at all, because they'll just play Renato Vega at left back. But the fact that now Gusto is also got a thigh problem, I mean, if it's a thigh problem and it's forced him off, I mean, that's not. I would say, if we're being optimistic here, then Gusto being available for Bournemouth, I would say is looking pretty unlikely, guys. I would say that would have to be looking pretty unlikely, Gusto to be available against Bournemouth. I just can't see it. So that leaves you with what? Josh Akinpong, has never started a game for Chelsea, I don't think. And that leaves you Axel Disasi or Moises Caicedo, both of which are not ideal options whatsoever. You almost might think it'd be better to play Akinpong there. At least he's a natural right back compared to the other two. It's just a really tricky one. It's a really tricky one. But Gusto also picks up injuries as well. How can you have 2 such good right backs that also have quite a few injury problems? Oh, it's just a nightmare, isn't it? It's just a nightmare, this. This is just not what we're wanting whatsoever. Not what we're wanting whatsoever. You just sort of think, when are we going to get a break from this? You know, you arguably say we've got two of the best right backs, you know, we could possibly have, and yet, you know, we're having to maybe field a centre back there or a midfielder in a makeshift role because they can't keep fit. I mean, it's just enough to make you want to, you know, give up on everything, isn't it? It's enough to make you want to give up on everything. I mean, guys, what are your thoughts on it? You know, why do you think we're getting these kind of injuries, people? Why do you think we're getting these kind of injuries? Because for me, I thought, you know, we'd started the season a little bit better on the injury front. Didn't pick up any injuries in pre-season or anything like that. And now we get to the season, and suddenly there's a bit more of a problem with James. Gusto's now injured, and then we've obviously had the Lavia injury as well, which hasn't been ideal whatsoever. Has not been ideal either. So for me, we just got to hope this Gusto thing is not too serious. If the Gusto thing is going to rule him out for 3-4 weeks, then we have got an issue. We've got an issue. And you have to, at that point, put it down to just complete bad luck if both of them were to be out. If both of them were to be out. Because, you know, you just can't compensate for those things. You can't plan for those sorts of eventualities that kind of like both fucking players are going to be out of action. You just can't plan for those eventualities. So, yeah, for me, I'm hoping that that's not going to be the case. But I would be very surprised if Gusto was available against Bournemouth. I would be very, very surprised because thigh injury is unlikely to be back and fully fit in 10 days. I just don't see it. I personally don't see it. I'd love to be wrong, but I'm just not seeing it. To be honest, Lavia and James are just playing it safe, like they will be back within 2 games. Well, Lavia's already missed 2 games. But let's move on to yeah, I have done. Let's move. We're going to get onto that. Let's move on to Lavia, because he obviously, I think what we're seeing now, guys, is how important Romeo Lavia is for this Chelsea team. So important. You've seen the games that he's not played, the midfield has been so easy to get through. Wolves, easy to get through. It was easy to get through at times against Crystal Palace. And he didn't play in either game against Servette. And they had quite a lot of joy playing through that midfield. I think we're at a point now where actually Romeo Lavia is a crucial part of this Chelsea team. And he's got to, whenever he's fit, he needs to be starting for us, because he's one of those that is good on the ball. He's good off the ball as well. He's disciplined. He gets stuck in. He wants to win the ball back. And he offers that protection in midfield that we've been lacking when he's not there. So the fact that he started the season really well, he played a lot of minutes in pre-season. He was brilliant against Man City. He then played 10 minutes or whatever. He come on for like 10 minutes against Servette at Stamford Bridge. Don't know why. And then we've not seen him since. Apparently he has a hamstring issue as well. And hopefully, you know, he's due to start training again with a view to being fit for the Bournemouth game. So it doesn't even say that he will be fit for the Bournemouth game. It's just he's going to start. They hope that he's due to start training again, and hopefully he's going to be fit for the Bournemouth game. You know, there's no guarantees that he will be, and we do desperately need this guy. This guy is so important to how we play, and you know, he's got multiple bows to his, arrows to his bow. You know, because you know he can play that sort of destructive midfielder role. He can play in a pivot, and he can obviously play as a number 6 as well. And that's where I think personally that's where I think suits him best. He's obviously not really a goal scoring midfielder. He's a combative midfielder, guy that gets stuck in, breaks attacks up, starts new attacks. And already he is seemingly becoming, as I said, one of Chelsea's most important players. And having said that, I thought Lavia would be maybe a rotation option. On the evidence that we've seen so far, I honestly think this guy needs to be a starter every single week. There, no doubt about it. In my view, the guy's got to be a starter every single week. But again, he's suffering with injury problems as well. And maybe that's what happens when you've been out for a long time. You start to you feel a few things that that you would expect to feel. Maybe a few niggles here and there, just because you've been out for so long. I thought, I did think that. I was trying to think of what it was, and I was trying to think of what it was, and then I fucked it. Lavia, even if fit, will not get in ahead of Enzo. Look, I agree that probably should be the case if we're talking about, offering protection to the midfield. I would absolutely agree on that front. I would agree on that front, but this is a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one. I don't know what we can expect. But I just hope that he's back soon, because we desperately need him. Desperately need him. We desperately need him, and we've got to see. We've got to see. We've got to see what we can do without him. But it's just proving to be far too easy to play through. Far too easy to play through, and that is a big problem. And so we need Lavia back fit and firing for us. Isn't it ridiculous that we sold Jorginho and bought Enzo for 100 mil? I mean, but Enzo and Jorginho are completely different players. What midfielder would you drop for Lavia? It's a tricky one, isn't it? I don't know the answer to that. Whose decision was it to make Enzo captain? Well, it was Enzo Maresca, wasn't it? For Maresca to make Enzo captain shows he won't be dropped anytime soon. No, I do agree on that, and I think regardless of how Enzo plays, because of the money that's been invested in him, he will play the majority of games. There'll be very few times where he doesn't find himself in the team in a Premier League game, because of the money spent. And whether people agree with me or not, players with certain price tags are going to play because of the amount of money that's been invested in them. That's just the reality. That's just the reality of the situation. That's just the reality of the situation, guys. The owners are trying to protect their investment in Enzo. That's why he gets the. I wouldn't say that's why he's captain, but obviously, they're going to believe in the investment, and they're going to want that player to play. Joe, you think that the people that attributed our good form at the end of the season to Enzo being out might have been onto something? No, I don't think they were onto something, because we still won games and played well in games when he played as well. So it's not like we were shit for the whole time he played, and then we were suddenly good when he left. It wasn't like that. It was obviously it's kind of a bit of a coincidence, you could say, a bit of a coincidence that the good form suddenly coincided with that. I do understand that, but no, I don't think that's the. I don't think that's the case in my view anyway. I personally don't feel like that's the case. But look, I could be wrong, guys. I could be wrong. But the price tag was because it was a release clause, and we wanted the player, so that's what you had to pay, unfortunately. No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. What else have we got here? I mean, yeah, there's many captains. But at the moment, it seems to be Enzo is the favoured one right now. I wouldn't say the league was too physical for him. I just think, sometimes his athleticism lets him down, particularly in defending transitions, and on the ball, I don't think you can deny his quality. but he's got a lot of improving to do out of possession, because his performances out of possession simply aren't good enough. The performances out of possession simply aren't good enough, and that's got to improve. That's got to improve. That's got to improve. What's also got to improve, guys, is these likes. We are 68 likes, 136 in the building. We need to get this to 100 likes. So please keep smashing that like button, guys, and get this up to 100 likes. It's free and it takes seconds to do so, and I would greatly appreciate it. So please do run it up, guys. It really helps me out. The more liked something is, then the more it gets boosted in the YouTube algorithm and the more eyes that we get on the channel. So please run it up. We're 30 likes away. That should be done in the next sort of 5 minutes, people. 140 in the building. It's not hard and it really helps me out. So please do that. And also, people, we are 7 subscribers away now from 11.7k. That's 137 in the building. There must be 7 people who aren't subscribed. So guys, if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Join the community, become part of the channel. It's the place to be for your Chelsea news. And introduce yourself in the chat as well if you are a new subscriber. We're just 7 away now. There must be 7 people who aren't subscribed. So please hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 11.7k, guys. Let's do it. Come on, people. The only thing Enzo can do is provide long through balls. Apart from that, I wouldn't say it was a liability. The way Enzo's being used in this setup is making him look like someone that's won a competition to play in the Prem. I don't know how many times we can keep blaming the setup. You know, I thought second half against Wolves, he played very, very well. Against Crystal Palace, he wasn't amazing, but I don't think he was absolutely awful. Oh, bro, just discussing Chilwell maybe going on loan to Turkey. Reece might not be fit for the Bournemouth game. And now we're obviously on to Romeo Lavia. Yeah, but Caicedo doesn't deserve to be dropped. I mean, look, you've got multiple different options. There's no denying that. There absolutely are multiple different options here, for sure. Yes, big up, my brother, big up. They thought they were buying the next Messi, but Enzo has been average for us. I think it's a confidence thing. I don't look at him as someone that lacks confidence. I don't really know what it is. I just feel like he's become a bit of an easy target, a bit of a scapegoat. I feel like feel like Chelsea fans just, get onto him regardless of how well he does or doesn't do. Like, there's always they're always on to Enzo. I get a feeling that he's a scapegoat for a lot of performances. And, I think with the transfer fee, he's very much an easy target. Very much an easy target. But yeah, obviously he needs to improve. He needs to improve. We should have gone for Amadou Onana. I don't think Chelsea were really ever in for Onana. What else? Andre will be the next big thing. I mean, Andre Santos is doing very well at Strasbourg. Let's wait and see. Yeah, certainly it's not great. It certainly isn't great. That's for sure. And yeah, that's something that obviously needs to massively improve as well. But hopefully that will improve over the course of the season. But I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't bank on it at all. He's trying to. I don't think he is trying to play as against City. He was played as a 10, but since then, I don't think he's been played as a number 10 in any of the games. I wouldn't agree with that. I don't think he's been played as a 10 in any of the games, other than the game against Manchester City in the first game of the season, where Maresca surprisingly started all three. But yeah, I don't think he's been played in every game. Sorry, played in a 10 every time he's played. I don't agree with that, and don't think that's the case at all. Definitely don't think that's the case. But Yeah, I mean, we are where we are on that one. We are where we are. But I do think people blame him. But again, you can talk about Ugo Chukwu. It's easy to say now, oh, we shouldn't have loaned him out. I tell you what, no one was saying at the start that we shouldn't have loaned Ugo Chukwu out. It's easy to say now that there's been a few injuries and it looks like we might be a bit light in that sort of defensive enforcer type midfield role. But no one was saying before the season started that we should be keeping Ugo Chukwu and he shouldn't go on loan. No one was saying that. It's an easy thing to say now. And of course, yeah, maybe we should have kept him looking back. But at the time, no one was saying that at the time. No one was saying it. So I just think that's a little bit of a cop-out in my view. You probably need an out-and-out defensive midfield player, a proper anchor. I thought Caicedo could be that, but he's poor receiving the ball from the back. I think Caicedo can be that. I think he can be that. This is going to sound crazy. Do you think we're better at grounds with wider pitches? I mean, I've not really studied the width of certain pitches, but yeah, Stamford Bridge is not the widest pitch. Maybe I don't know. Bournemouth again is another ground that's quite narrow. The London Stadium at West Ham is pretty wide. Yeah, look, maybe it's something. Maybe it's something. Really not convinced by Leslie. I wouldn't say I wasn't convinced by him, but yeah, he needs the loan for sure. He needs the loan. Vega and Caicedo in midfield with Cook, potentially. What else? Only thing Enzo knows how to do is make Hollywood passes. Oh, I think that's doing him a bit of a disservice. I think that's a bit unfair. Enzo created big chances against Palace. Yeah, exactly. And this is what I mean. Like the conversation around Enzo Fernandez would be totally different if if Madueke had taken one of those chances, or if Jackson had scored a chance, or I think Palmer had an opportunity as well. If one of those had gone in, then people are having a totally different conversation about him. They're having a totally different conversation about him. So it is fine margins. I get why he's spoken about a lot because of the price tag. I understand that. I'm not adverse to that. I fully get it. But I think Chelsea have got much more problems than Enzo Fernandez being in the team or not being in the team. I think they've got far bigger problems than that. Yeah, of course. Nothing can excuse Enzo not being able to take a shot on target. Enzo needs to unlock the dog in him and stop playing so hard at the pitch. Maybe Noni missed at point blank range. Nobody says anything about that. Yeah, no, I do agree. Look, Enzo Fernandez's performances do need to improve. There's no denying that whatsoever. But I think what is very clear is that he's an easy target for Chelsea fans. He's an easy target for Chelsea fans because of the price tag. It's that simple. Oh, it costs 50 million quid. No one's really saying any of this stuff. No one's saying any of this stuff at all. If he's cost 50 million pounds, that's what I'm saying. That's my point, guys. Is that if he costs 50 mil, no one would be saying anything. No one would be saying anything whatsoever if he'd cost 50 mil. Did anyone else see a level of selfishness in the final third against Palace? That's why we drew. I wouldn't say people weren't passing to each other. I think the reason we drew was because we didn't take the opportunities that we created. That's why we drew at the end of the day. And we weren't able to clear our lines from a set piece, ultimately, at the end of the day. Guys, we're still 15 likes away. Come on, people. Let's get there in the next 5 minutes before the hour mark. Before the hour mark comes up on the stream, guys. Come on, people. Run it up to 100 likes. We're not far now. It's not a huge ask. Let's do it, guys. Let's get it done. Come on. Let's get it done. 15 likes to go. You can do this, guys. I know the transfer window is over now. Not as big a numbers as we had during the summer. I fully appreciate that, but we can still get to 100 likes. That should be light work. Light work. So let's do it. Let's get it done, people. Run it up, run it up. I hope so. We can. Whether we will or not, I don't know. Enzo hasn't spoken about because of the price tag. It's because we sold Gallagher and the narrative of we were better without him last season. Yeah, they absolutely are. I think the tactics expose the midfield so much, and in the case we need strong tacklers and someone who runs a bot. Yeah, look, I absolutely agree. We don't maybe have. I mean, look, I think Caicedo gets stuck in. I do think that Caicedo gets stuck in, but yeah, they got him for £35 million because that was his release clause. Brighton didn't value him at £35 million. Like, unfortunately, there was a release clause for 35 million, but McAllister, if there was no release clause, would have been at least 70 million, maybe more. But yeah, that's where we are. A World Cup and Copa winner, and he was an important player for Argentina in both tournaments. It's that we know how good he is. Yeah, no, he is very, very good. There's no denying that he's a good player. But right now at Chelsea, it just hasn't quite happened yet. It's just not quite happened for him yet. And yeah, it's disappointing for sure. And this is a massive season for him. But I'm confident that it'll come good. And let's hope that Maresca can get the best out of him. Let's hope that Maresca can get the best out of him. Because that's what we all want at the end of the day. And I certainly won't be turning against him or blaming stuff on him. I think there's more issues on individual performances. Everyone can give Jackson time, even though he is what he is because he's cheap. Yeah, expensive signings don't get the time. Yeah, I get it. Expensive signings don't get the time at all. Did Sanchez get a call up? Yeah, he did to Spain squad. Yeah. But anyway, talking of January, I know that's obviously a bit of a way away, but there was where are we? Chelsea still appreciate Victor Osimhen. Let's see if they will activate this option in January. Now, obviously, we all know about the... Yeah, of course he does. Of course, this is his second season at a football club. He's 23 years of age. Of course he deserves some time. Of course he does. He done really well in his first season. 14 Premier League goals, way better than anyone would have expected. Of course he deserves time. I didn't believe it when I saw the Sanchez call up. Yeah, it was mad, wasn't it? Obviously, the Victor Osimhen scenario is well documented. We didn't get the deal done. We know that. I get it that Chelsea probably still appreciate him, but I don't know if they're going to go back in for him or not, because ultimately, what's really changed if we go back in for Osimhen? Nothing's changed, has it? Because are we going to suddenly offer more wages that he wanted? If that's the case, why don't we just do that in the summer? And is he going to, or has he maybe suddenly going to end up changing his mind? I really don't know. But yes, he's more affordable. You know, the release clause has now dropped to 75 million euros, which I think is a much more realistic price for Osimhen. But I'm just really confused at why we would go back in for him in January and suddenly offer the wages that he was asking for in the summer. It just makes zero sense whatsoever. It makes no sense at all why we would do that. Makes no sense whatsoever. Too big of an ego. Yeah, I'm sort of the feeling that actually I'm done with this Osimhen thing after the summer. I don't want to see us, you know, going through all that shit all over again. I'm very much done with that. I don't want to see that bullshit. I don't want to see us go through that shit again. I really don't. Don't want to see it again, guys. It just has a Lukaku vibe about it. It really does. The fact that, you know, we're not open to any loan deals for Osimhen. Osimhen doesn't want to come on loan. Maybe that was his agent driving it. Apparently, he's got rid of his agent now, which is a good thing. Supposedly, he's got rid of him. I don't know if that's that's true or not. But yeah, to be honest, though, different agents, I don't think that makes a difference as to Osimhen, whether he's going to lower his wages or not, though. I think annoyed at both, annoyed at the player and massively annoyed at the agent also, because Osimhen's been advised so badly. You know, this is one of the best strikers in the world, and now he's on loan in fucking Turkey at 25. Like, what is that about? What on earth is going on there? What on earth is going on there is all I can say. Is all I can say. What is going on there? He's been advised so badly. And look, you know, ultimately, he doesn't really win from this at all, because like, even if he bangs 30 goals in Turkey, no one's going to give him any credit for it. You know, it's not a well-respected league in Europe. And this whole saga has really damaged him. And I do believe it's damaged his reputation and the way that people potentially will look at him. I really do think there's a strong case, a strong case for that. I really do think there's a strong case for it. So yeah, I mean, let's wait and see how he does in Turkey. But I would think that Chelsea have got different targets now. I mean, look, sure, he might still be on the list, but I think after all that's gone on with Napoli, with Chelsea, with Osimhen, yes, the agent's reportedly gone now. I wonder if there's too much water under the bridge on this one. I wonder if there is. Osimhen will need to be on fire, as Galatasaray and Jackson would need to suck. That's how the deal can happen. Then we pay up or go home. Different agents for him now. In January, we might want to get a different package. Not saying we should go for him. I agree. Gyökeres rumours died down for every club. Yeah, no, there was nothing on Gyökeres in the end, was there? Why is Osimhen demanding so much from us to later go on loan? I don't know is the answer to that. It's because Galatasaray are paying all the wages. That's the only answer I can think of, because Galatasaray are covering all of his Napoli wages. That's why. Who honestly thought, with the direction of the club and our wage structure, if you did, no, I didn't really ever think we were going to be able to sign him. At times, you know, it was I was more confident, but ultimately, I think it became very clear that he was never going to join us on our terms. Never going to join us on our terms. I don't know if it's as simple as saying if Osimhen had another agent, we would have got him. Ultimately, his agent is not stopping him from taking a pay cut. You know, that's not the case. The agent's not getting a percentage of his wages. You know, agent will get a commission from the transfer fee. I think that's how it works. So, like, I don't think we can blame the agent on him not dropping his wages. I really don't. Yeah, Isak would be amazing, but it's never going to happen. Never going to happen. When Ornstein tweeted about Osimhen and Chelsea on deadline day, I thought we could get it done. But everyone says he was keen on the move. I'm not buying it. He can't have been that keen. If he was keen on the move, he would have. You can't tell me that he would have rather have joined Galatasaray on loan than Chelsea on loan. Come on. We're not set. We can't honestly be saying this. So people saying, you know, and reports saying that, you know, he wanted the move. He really wanted to come. He didn't really want to come because he refused to reduce his wages. So he obviously can't have wanted to come that much, can he? He can't have wanted to come much. So yeah, you know, that's where I'm at with it. If we go for any more 10s or wingers, yeah, no, we absolutely can't do that. I don't really know, to be perfectly honest. Maybe let's see how Gyökeres does this season and possibly go for him. But again, you're still in a similar situation where Osimhen is still probably, you know, the best striker on the market. So it is absolutely it's absolutely problematic. Really is a problematic situation for us to find ourselves in. Yeah, guys, run up those likes. Have we hit 100 likes yet, people? No, we still haven't. Guys, there's 3 more likes to go. Come on, let's run it up. 3 more likes to go, guys. It's free. It takes seconds to do, and it really helps me out. So please run the likes up. We need 3 more likes, guys. Come on. It's not hard. Let's get it done. Last 2 now. Last 2 people. There's definitely 2 people in there that haven't smashed that like button. Whether you're watching on your phone, whether you're sitting at home, hit that thumbs up button. Let's get this to 100. And we're 6 subscribers away from the 11.7K. Let's do it, guys. Let's get it done. Come on. 6 subscribers away. Please smash that subscribe button. Let's get this to 11.7. We weren't paying his wages. Yeah, and that so exactly. So he wasn't that keen on the move then. He was only keen for it on his terms, which means he wasn't really that keen for it, as far as I'm concerned. I think he was keen on the move. The player simply knows his worth. Knows his worth so much that he'd rather go and play for Galatasaray. Pay players fair market price and we'd have him. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, maybe. But that's what Chelsea deemed as a fair market price. You know, I don't knock us for sticking to our guns on this one. I really don't, because the Chelsea of old would have just paid Victor Osimhen whatever he wanted. He probably would have done shit for us, and then we would have massively struggled to find an alternative solution. We would have been banging trouble trying to find an alternative solution. So I am glad that we stuck to our guns. I am glad that we stuck to our guns, but yeah, I do agree that we will struggle to attract top players if we're not prepared to pay the top money. That's the reality. That's the reality of the situation. That's the reality of the situation that we find ourselves in. So yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is, guys. I don't really know what the scenario is going to be, but there is a break clause in January. So depending on who comes in, there are break clauses. Bro, I wouldn't believe that report from Dimarzio. There's no way we offered €4 million salary. No chance. No chance, because that's less than 100 grand a week. I think there's no way. There's no way we offered that as an offer. There's no chance. I'm not saying we offered like loads and loads of money, but there's no way that we offered that little, like that Dimarzio report suggested. I just can't see it. I really can't see it. I really don't see it. Really don't see it at all. But you know, I mean, look, Dimarzio was good on some things, but not on others. Not on others. Not on others. I think we can get top 4. I think we can absolutely get top 4, but it's going to depend on whether we can stay fit. It's going to be whether we can stay fit or not. That's the big one. That is the big one. Can the players stay fit? If we can keep the majority of the players fit, then I think we can absolutely finish in the top 4. I don't see why not. There's no agendas on. I mean, I certainly don't have any agendas on Chilwell or James. Chilwell going to hopefully he does go to Turkey. He needs to go and play football. There's no, as I said earlier in the show, there's no winners from Chile staying at Chelsea and playing no football till January. Let's hope he gets that move. Bro, to be fair, we would have been playing Europa League football if Man United hadn't won the FA Cup. So I don't think we can blame the Conference League on Pochettino. Unfortunately, as much as you might like to, we can't blame that on Pochettino. In my view, we can't do that. But look, January around the corner, a few months away. Let's see whether Chelsea do revisit that or not. But I would be. I mean, nothing would surprise me, but I'm not sure if that would necessarily be the right answer to do. Maybe that would be a good thing to do. I don't know, because you know we'd have to be struggling quite a lot if we were to look at going for a striker in January. For me personally, I feel that we could agree a deal for a striker in January to come in the summer. You know, if I had to say right now, my bet would be that we agree a deal for Benjamin Sesko in January for him to come in the summer. I think that would be my take right now on the situation. Again, that's just my thoughts. I could be totally wrong, but I think that could be the most likely situation. I'm really not sure that we will. I don't know how likely it is we would go back in for Osimhen. I don't know how much damage has potentially been done with this whole scenario. I don't think top four is wishful thinking at all. I don't think top four is wishful thinking whatsoever. I think it's very much it's very much doable. I think that's wide of the mark. I really don't see how. I really don't doubt we'll make top six whatsoever. I don't know. I'm not sure. Look, Silva's experience has obviously not been replaced. I fully appreciate that. Look, Gallagher is what was one of them that look. I was a big fan of Conor Gallagher, but I think we have to be fair and say that he was tailor made for Pochettino's system. You know, and if it had been someone else in charge last season, would we have seen those level of performances from Gallagher? I don't know. We have to win the Conference League. I agree. We need to win the Conference League. I don't know. It's the system. I think it's maybe just people perhaps not understanding the system potentially. That could be more of it rather than the system itself. How crazy is that? Out of all our new signings, only Neto starts. Look, I think Felix will play a lot of games. But again, not all of them were signed to be first team starters. You know, a number of these guys were signed to be squad rotation options. They weren't all signed to be first team starters. I think Neto was probably signed to be a first team starter, but I don't think Felix was signed to be a first team regular. And I don't think that Jadon Sancho was brought in to be, you know, a regular starter either. I think these were all brought in as opportunities in the market. You know, there's no denying that. But I don't think we can say like we can knock the summer business because only Neto starts. We weren't looking for. Not all the signings were signed. I feel with being first team regulars in mind. But I think the squad's better. We've got better attacking options now than we had. I think we've got the midfield options. I don't think you'd say they're better than last season because Lavia's available now. And defensively, yeah, okay, I hear you on that. No Silva, Chalobah obviously out of the equation. I absolutely do hear you on that one. But I think the squad is stronger. Agreed. The fourth spot is wide open to maybe at least 4 or 5 teams. I don't know is the answer to that. I'm not sure. Pot should have got us top 4. Yeah, of course. And you know, at the end of the day, we weren't even that far away. All I can say is City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa are definitely ahead of us. Yeah, City and Arsenal definitely are. I don't know if Villa are that far ahead of us. You know, obviously last season they were much better. They were better than us, but I don't think, you know, in general Villa are necessarily better than are ahead of us. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course he will. Yeah, but I still think, you know, last season, you know, we had Silva and we had our worst defense in Premier League history for us, and we still only finished about 5 points outside the Champions League. So, yeah, look, I understand what people are saying. I do get it, but yeah, I don't know, guys. I think we absolutely can. And look, Sanchez is not. I'm not a massive fan of Robert Sanchez, but I think you could finish top 4 with Robert Sanchez or Jorgensen in goal. You know, if you want to be serious and win a load of things, then maybe not. But I mean, I don't want to start going down all this false 9 stuff. Yeah, I don't see Villa getting top 4 football this year, top 4 finish this year. I don't. Look, could be proven wrong, but I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening. Don't see it happening. but we'll see. We'll see. Um, what else is going on? It wasn't for Palmer. Yeah, but I'll be honest. It's such a poor take because we would have played differently. Other players would have contributed in different ways. I don't think you can just say, "Oh, you take Palmer out." We would have finished bottom half because other players would have stepped up in a different way for us. Um, well, only time will tell. Only time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see on that one. But the back four set in stone once he decides on midfield and attack. Yeah, look, the back four is set now. We know what that is. I still don't know what Chelsea's best attack is really, and I don't really know what the best midfield setup is either. So once those are worked out and we start playing a consistent lineup a bit more, then we should get a better picture of where this team's at. I don't see United getting top four this season. I wouldn't say we look clueless. I think that's a bit harsh. I do think that's a bit harsh. I wouldn't say we looked clueless. I would say that there's been some good. I would say there's been some positives from these opening three games, and there's been some things that have not been so good. But arguably, you look at the performances, and I know the points on the board are what matters, and the results are what matters. But I don't think we've played badly in any of our games this season. I really don't. Against Man City, I thought we actually played pretty well. Wolves, we were very good, particularly in that second half. And then against Palace, I thought we played really well. Yes, we tailed off in that second half, but I thought we were all right. I felt we were okay. But yeah, it is what it is, people. It is what it is. Yeah, potentially it could be. Potentially it could be. I absolutely agree on that front. No, look, I wouldn't base that off one. Look, it's something we struggle with, but I wouldn't completely write us off against a low block based off one game against Crystal Palace. It's something we struggle with, and it's something we need to improve on. Absolutely, no, not denying that at all. But hopefully that can improve. Hopefully that can improve. But we have to wait and see. Yeah, we had a poor start last season. We won 3 of our first 10 matches last season in the league. So yeah, at least we've improved on that perspective. But yeah, I don't think you can get a good idea of where we're at for at least maybe until we've played maybe 10 or 12 games. That's when you're going to start getting a more accurate picture in my view. That's when you will start to get a more accurate picture. But what else is going on? If there's guys got any last minute questions in the chat about anything, otherwise I will look to round this one out imminently. Any team can come to the bridge, park the bus, score on the counter, and draw, win the game. I don't think it's just a number 9. We need to find a way to unlock these defenses as well. It's not just about a 9. I don't know. I don't know the answers if fifth's going to be that. Well, I wouldn't bank on that either, to be honest. But yeah, guys, I'm going to round this one out here now. Got a few bits and pieces to take care of. Thank you to everyone who has joined the show this afternoon. Greatly appreciate each and every single one of you. Make sure you smash that like button on the way out, people. Let's run this up to as many likes as we possibly can get. Let's get it to 120 on the way out, guys. Smash that like button. Let's get another 10 likes on the board. And please subscribe as well on your way out. If you're locked in now and you're not subscribed, get subscribed, people. We're 6 subscribers away now from 11.7k. We are edging ever closer. So please do smash that subscribe button on your way out. Run those likes up. Guys, thank you so much for all the support as always. Thanks for tuning in. International break is pretty boring. It's tough for content. There's not always an awful lot to discuss, but thought I would jump on, do a show today. Great to interact with everyone again, as always. As I said, smash likes on the way out. Subscribe if you're new around here. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will catch you lot again soon. Up the Chelsea, and peace out.